Well, hey, welcome back. We are continuing on in chapter 3 in our series AIM, looking at how the church is aimed at love. And what we're looking at now is how the church has leaders, and there's a couple different categories of that. Last time we looked at pastor, elder, overseer as a role of leaders, and this time we're going to be talking about deacons like we did in service today with Pastor Micah. And so as we're looking through these things, we categorized some of the qualifications and expectations on leaders into two different categories with elders: internal and external. Internal, looking at these things that these leaders have self-control over, and then external, looking at their influence and the roles of influence on other people around them. That can be in the household or outside of the church even. And so as we're continuing with deacons, I want us to think about what Paul is trying to get at as far as expectations and roles and how those keep the church aimed and focused on love. And this role of a servant or a deacon goes back to the book of Acts in the earliest parts of the church, and how there's a role that needed to be filled to serve people, even beyond some of the expectations and roles and responsibilities of pastors. And so let's look at these verses. We're going to start in chapter 3, verse 8. Deacons likewise must be dignified, not double-tongued, not addicted to much wine, not greedy for dishonest gain. They must hold the mystery of the faith with a clear conscience, and let them also be tested first, and then let them serve as deacons if they prove themselves blameless. Their wives likewise must be dignified, not slanderers, but sober-minded, faithful in all things. Let deacons each be the husband of one wife, managing their children and their own households well. For those who serve well as deacons gain a good standing for themselves, and also great confidence in the faith that is in Christ Jesus. Now, you can go back and listen to Pastor Micah's sermon from Sunday if you really want to get a better idea of how this passage breaks down and the details of everything. But I think it'd be important for us to break things down into a couple categories. The first is that the expectations for deacons is that they serve. These are leaders in the church that are counting other people as more significant than themselves. These are people that have others' needs in mind, and they want to meet those needs. And this is a really important role of the church, and it defines what it is to actually love someone. The second thing that we can see here is that they need to be leading in their homes as well. Just like the elders, there's an expectation that that you see these kinds of leaders in the church taking responsibility over their own family, and then being able to step out and take a bigger responsibility in the church family. And I think that's a really important thing for us to see, that as the church prioritizes love, the biggest training ground for that is going to be in your own home, in your own household. And the third thing that I think often gets missed in this passage is actually that the deacon themselves benefits from this role. Look at verse 13. It says, "For those who serve well as deacons gain a good standing for themselves and also great confidence in the faith that is in Christ Jesus." It says that if you step into this role as a leader and as a servant in the church, that actually you gain good standing. This goes along with what he said whenever he introduced the qualifications for elders and overseers. It says, the saying is trustworthy. If anyone aspires to the office of overseer, he desires a noble task. These are things that people should actually aspire to. These are things that you should look forward to, that you should anticipate seeing yourself in these kinds of roles if you're in the church. I think that's important for us, even as students, middle school, high school students. You should be able to look young men at elders and pastors and see those roles as something that's really noble and something that you want to aspire to. You should be thinking about what it might look like for you to be a pastor. That doesn't mean you have to do like me and have that be your job. We have lay pastors, even here at Redeemer. What does it mean to maybe pursue a career elsewhere, yet serve in the church as an overseer? And for you guys, young men and women, as we look to establish the roles of deacon, deaconesses here at Redeemer, I think it's important that you look at that role as something that you should aspire to, that you should look to gain that good standing in the church and in the culture. And I think these are things that you need to be working towards, even now as a young student, that you should be finding ways to serve in the church, finding out where are those places that God is calling you to lead and to step into. Where are those places that God is having you aim at love?